Okay. Let me just get everything opened up and we can talk some nonsense. I'm recording now!
Oh. Well, I've only just started recording, so there we
Oh,
go.
whose fault's that?
Well, I thought I was waiting for you.
Welcome to the official first podcast of Nothing to Play. You might have heard our last one. That was our sort of episode 0, really just sort of testing out how it's all going to work. And this time we think we've got it. So we are trying to do it a little bit better this time. Hopefully, if it gets a little bit better every week, it will eventually end up good.
Yeah, hopefully.
So, yeah. So, if you listened to last week's, you will know we spoke a lot about the Nintendo Switch. We spent the best part of sort of 40 minutes talking about it, going through a 3-minute trailer, so I think we did fairly well there. There's been some new exciting updates. Apparently it's due to have a 6.7-inch capacitive touchscreen, which will make touchscreen mobile games a possibility, a thing now, which makes me wonder about things like Pokemon Go. Do you think they're going to port Go to the Switch?
I would think so.
But then it's all like GPRS and location based, and this thing isn't going to be that, so maybe not that one. But they've got that weird Mario Run thing, which is coming, if not is out. I don't have an iOS, so no, I think it's iOS. I don't know if it's iOS only or iOS only for a bit, but I've got an Android phone, so I can't check.
I'll have to have a look myself.
But yeah, I read somewhere, I think it's going to be either 5 or 10 point multi-touch, which seems a bit excessive, but if it works, it works.
Well, it's all rumours at the moment, so
yeah, that's it. And Nintendo have come out and actually said that this thing's not going to replace the 3DS, so the 3DS will still have a place in our homes and wallets. So that's one thing. I don't know, like I couldn't see why they wouldn't kill off the 3DS for the Switch, but then I assume that if people are still buying the 3DS and buying games for the 3DS, they want all that income they can get. So I guess that's the reason.
To answer your question about Super Mario Run, I'm just looking now, and it just says coming soon.
Okay. So, will it be a Switch? Will it not be a Switch game? We'll soon find out.
I think it'll be both. You're probably right with Pokemon, though. Not
be on it. But if Pokemon Go's not on it, I was listening to a podcast all about the history of Pokemon, and at the end they had a what do we think Pokemon should do to get better. Someone said that they wanted to cut out all the random battles, but I think the random battles really sort of made that game. And someone else said they want a proper console game, and thinking about it, the Switch is the perfect console for it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, plug it into your TV, carry it around. They like that sort of interaction between people. These things I would be shocked if there wasn't some kind of Bluetooth Street Pass kind of feature on the Switch. I quite enjoyed the Street Pass bit on my 3DS, but it only ever worked at conventions because I don't carry the thing around with me, and if I did, I would never see anyone with another one.
Yeah, it's I sold my 3DS before I went to E3 last year, so that would have been a perfect time to take it.
But apparently they fill up, so when you so you can only, in your little queue of people to meet, you can only like fit a certain amount of. I think they've doubled it or made it much bigger now. But I mean, I would be surprised if I ever saw anyone with another one. Maybe I think that's just an English thing though. I think it's a bigger thing in Japan and possibly America. But yeah, that's our brief amendment to last week's podcast. So to start off week 1 proper, as it were, we just wanted to sort of talk about some big news things that we've we've read or seen recently. I think the biggest one for me is that Evolve, the game that came out on the consoles, it was sometime last year, to sort of big fanfare. It was this big 4 versus 1. It was going to be like a Left 4 Dead, but instead of fighting zombies, you fight one giant monster, and everyone was sort of really, really raving about it, and it got really good reviews, and it was really positive. But it came out with the most ridiculous DLC sort of structure that anyone, I think, has ever bought out. I mean, when it first came out, people were having to create spreadsheets to figure out who got what and when, which is taking it too far. So do you remember the DLC palaver back when Evolve came out, Kingy?
I don't actually. I can't really remember what was going on, what it was about.
Basically, they released the game. It was a full priced sort of £50 title, but with that came over like £100 worth of DLC. Most of it was like cosmetic changes, so costumes and sort of different characters with no major sort of advantage over the others. But I think just the sheer amount to be able to play and enjoy the whole thing would sort of require a lot of outgoing, and from the offset, I mean, even if DLC is cosmetic, if you have a lot of DLC in a game, it will turn people against you. I mean, I remember when Dead Space 3 came out, that had an option, well, that had a part of the gameplay where you put down these drones, and the drones go and collect some resources, and you use the resources to upgrade your stuff. And EA put in a thing where you could just buy the resources. You didn't need to buy the resources. It wasn't really any particularly any quicker. The drones worked really fast, and you never sort of ran out of them. But people were up in arms about it. How dare they charge us DLC for a full price game? But that was the start of this whole like microtransaction thing. And I guess this DLC thing's a little bit different. But yeah, basically there was this whole big thing. There was a lot of people playing it at release. It recently dwindled down to about 500 players simultaneously on Steam, which is nothing for like one of these big AAA titles. So they moved it to a free-to-play model, which was sort of a lot friendlier with the DLC, because everyone sort of expects this DLC microtransaction culture in a free-to-play game. You don't pay for the game, instead you fund it through this sort of buying costumes and things like this. And I was really looking forward to it. It was due to come out on the consoles. I'd already planned it. I had people that were ready to come and play it with me, and I started playing it on the PC. I played a couple of games. Really enjoyed the games I played. And recently they have stopped developing it, which means that the future is basically a complete unknown at the minute. What's happened? One of the founders said on their forums that 2K Games that own Evolve, and they've owned Evolve since THQ went down. So THQ was making Evolve. They went bankrupt. 2K picked up the IP, and they had this company called Turtle Rock. Well, Turtle Rock was making it. THQ was the publisher. 2K came out. They said, no, we'll fund it. Sounds like a great idea. And they've said that the contract has basically ended, which means Turtle Rock can't work on Evolve. I mean, maybe 2K could renew the contract. I don't know how it's going to work. Maybe they'll just say, no, we're done with it for now. Maybe it wasn't making enough money. Maybe that's why they're not renewing the contract. But I sort of, for the bit I played, I quite enjoyed. There's still a lot of people that love the game. There's still a lot of people that are playing the game. They've not shut the servers down yet. I think the servers are due to be closed eventually. But yeah, I mean, I find it quite sad that this game that came out, it had really good reviews at the time. People really, like, the people that have played it have really enjoyed it, but the DLC policy sort of killed it before it even started. And now they've made it free to play. The people that were looking forward to playing it sort of on the consoles, like me and my friends, we're not going to get to play it in that incarnation. We're going to have to either play the PC one or just wait for it to die, unfortunately. So I mean, that was I think the sad news. The sad news of the week. So, good game no longer actively being worked on, which I guess is the thing in it, the story in short. So
I mean, it's always sad when a game stops being playable, but it's kind of the nature of online games. So after so long, the user base falls off, and then the publisher have to look at the cost in keeping the servers running, people developing content for it and everything. If there's not a lot of money coming through, then it's really not worth it business wise.
Yeah, definitely. And well, I guess that's the nature of everything. Eventually, people stop playing games, and they can't they can't justify the costs for the servers and things. But who knows? Maybe someone will pick up the baton and run with it. Maybe there'll be someone who creates a pirate server, and anyone can sort of play for free. I mean, I suppose I don't really have a problem with these sort of pirate servers in a way. The maybe the World of Warcraft ones, games that are still actively around, I think that's probably stepping over a line. But if they've actively said that they're not gonna do any more developing for it, and they are due to turn off the servers, I've got no problem with people running a server and still enjoying a game, and there's no reason why people shouldn't still enjoy someone's creation even after they've stopped working on it.
Yeah, there's no reason at all. No.
Alright, so I guess that's pretty much my big news. What have you got for us this week?
Well, interestingly, Microsoft have announced this week that they're bringing some VR headsets to the market. They're going to be getting HP, Dell, Asus, and Acer, and a couple of other places manufacturing the device. But they're going to be starting from $299. That's $299, which is quite interesting. Apparently, they're not going to need any sensor technology because it's all built into the actual headset, and they've called it Inside Out 6 Degrees of Freedom Sensors.
Oh, Jesus.
Whatever the hell that means.
That sounds like it should be a Japanese word, a really concise thing, and they've tried to literally translate it and got nonsense.
Probably. But yeah, so they don't need a camera like the Vive or the PlayStation VR or even the Oculus. It can tell which way you're looking through, presumably through like gyroscopic stuff. Like how the Vita and the PS4 controller works. Maybe it uses something like that, or it just has cameras that are looking out. I'm not exactly sure what it.
Yeah,
what
I mean,
means.
I guess from that 6 degrees of freedom sensors, I would sort of imagine there are maybe 6 cameras around the outside, and that will sort of take a picture, like take constant video of your surroundings, and as you move, it tracks how far things have moved, and then you can sort of tell that way. Maybe, who knows?
Maybe, I don't know. They haven't really gone into a lot of detail about that, but it's quite interesting. I mean, it's designed for Windows 10, but maybe they'll work with the Xbox One as well, possibly.
I would be shocked if they didn't. There's this big Xbox One, Windows 10 sort of cross connectivity. I think that they've been trying to push for a long time. They tried it with Windows Mobile and Windows 10 as well, or Windows 8, I think, and that didn't end up.
Well, they announced with Scorpio that the Oculus will work with that. So maybe they'll get these to work with the Xbox One, possibly, hopefully. I mean, it's interesting that they're going for a cheaper end. I'd like to see the specs of the screen and see what that's like.
I wonder if, well, I mean, the PlayStation, the PSVR thing, I think that's got a considerably lower resolution than the Vive and the Oculus. I don't really know the specs of the 3.
It's a little under 1080p, I think it was like 960 or something for each eye, 960 by 1080 or something. It works out for the PSVR.
But then people have really good things to say about it, and people have said that it's not too noticeable. Maybe, I mean, I've not had a go on any of them, so I can't really speak from personal.
Well, I've used the Oculus and I've used the PlayStation VR. The Oculus is definitely a higher resolution screen, but I find the PlayStation VR headset has better colours. They just seem to look. The colours just seem to look a little nicer. It seems a bit washed out on the Oculus.
I think they've both got the same sort of refresh rate, so it can't be that. I mean, I think they both have OLEDs, so maybe that's not the thing either. It's really, it's fairly weird. But this, I mean, just looking at some details about this thing that you're sort of talking about on both the Windows 10 Creator Update recently, you can use this in conjunction with the headset to create, share, scan, and print in 3D. So that would be quite nice if you could sort of go into, like, you had a block and you could model this block and mold this block with sort of tools and zoom out and then 3D print the thing. I think the one demo that I really liked from, I think it was the Vibe, based on the way it was moving, they had this like graffiti thing. So it's just a plain blank wall, and he sort of zoomed in and picked all his paint cans and shook them up and made all the colours and did this big sort of graffiti mural on the side of this wall. And I thought that looked amazing. Absolutely nothing I could use unless it's just like I'd zoom in, draw a big magenta penis and be like, well, that's me done for the day. But I can see that being a real, you could do all the art, you could take a screenshot of it, or maybe just export the whole thing and then print it. And I think that would work really well with sort of VR.
I mean, looking at the design of the headsets as well, they look very similar to the PlayStation VR.
Is that the final design yet? Do we know?
Oh, I have no idea.
No. But the article does say that it's going to have a headband and then a thing that hangs off the headband. So, I mean, I guess it's probably still quite a way out.
I imagine these will be hitting sometime next year.
Yeah, but then saying that they've got all these partners, does that mean that they're licensing out the tech and other people will be able to create sort of different versions of the same thing, or are they all going to work to one standard?
Probably to a certain standard, but because they say that it's going to be from 299, you're going to have different specs, different versions.
Yeah, I guess someone could have like a lower resolution screen, and then someone could have the higher resolution screen at a higher price point, maybe. I guess it'd
be kind of like how VCR was. Everyone could make it, but everyone had different specs.
I guess that could be true. I guess we'll soon find out. It's not too far away, I don't think. It's, well, you guys listening probably won't know. If anyone is listening yet, who knows? That we record these things on a Tuesday, and Tuesdays, certainly the first Tuesday of every month, is the exciting day in the world of PlayStation and Xbox, because it's free game day, which is never a bad thing. Free paid game day, that's the day. Which is great, because chances are we've all got like sort of bored or frustrated of the last free games about the first Thursday of the month, and we've been eagerly waiting for something to play. So PS4 has given us, Everybody's Gone to Rapture, which is a game I've not played. So I've had to do a quick bit of research today. It's based in a fictional English village where all the inhabitants have mysteriously disappeared, and it's up to you to discover why they've disappeared and what's happened. And it sounds like it's sort of one of the it was termed, I believe, a walking simulator, where you do little more than walk and read things. And I don't imagine it being that much fun. I think people talk highly of these things. I guess it's got some really big fans, but I don't know if a game about walking around and reading books is going to be that exciting. I mean, did you play Everyone's Gone to Rapture? I think it was a PC. I think it was PC as well.
I didn't play Everyone's Gone to Rapture yet, but it was on my list of things to get. But now, because I got it on PlayStation, I can now play it for free. But yeah, I enjoy these kind of games. Like, Gone Home was absolutely fantastic. I loved that game so much.
Wasn't that one of the recent free games?
I think it was earlier on this year. Yes.
I don't know if I might have got it and not played it yet.
Well, I played it on Steam.
I'm gonna have to dig it out, see if I can find it.
I mean, that game only takes like 2 hours to complete, but it's just a really interesting story as it develops.
I will have to. I've got to have it somewhere, I'd have thought. So I'll try and dig it out. The next one is Deadly Tower of Monsters, which I thought sounded a bit naff. But then I've done a bit of research in it again, and it's set as a 1980s B-movie sci-fi game. So your character is an actor, and he has his actor's name and his character name, and it's sort of like a twin-stick shooter where you just run around, and I guess there's sort of objectives to do in the levels, and you run around and fight things, and there's like a glowing plasma whip and ray guns and the big glass helmets that people wear. And I've got to admit, it looks better than it sounds. So I will eagerly be awaiting playing that one.
I have no idea, never heard of it, I've not even seen it, but you make it sound great, so I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, it sounds better than I'm making it sound, to be honest, which is not that difficult, I wouldn't have thought. But yeah, definitely one I'm going to try. And then for sticking with PlayStation, for the PS3, we've got Dirt 3, which I imagine you have flashbacks of still.
Yes.
I guess it's Dirt 2+1. It's a racing game. It's a rally racing game. The flashback thing that you spoke about last week that really confused the hell out of me from Dirt 2 makes a reappearance. I guess it's racing if you like racing. I'm not. You could probably not tell by the enthusiasm in my voice, but I'm just not that excited about that.
It's actually a really fun game. There's a lot of Gymkhana stuff in there as well. So it's doing the tricks with the car, going around doing speed runs and earning as many points as you can. That's quite fun. There's multiplayer in there. There's one particular mode where you have to take out aliens in these cardboard stands with aliens on. You have to go and take out as many as you can in a certain amount of time. That's quite fun as well.
Oh, that sounds mildly better than the racing. And then we've got Costume Quest 2, which came out on I think that was an Xbox. It was an Xbox game earlier this year, possibly late last year
for Halloween.
Oh, what a surprise! Yeah, so it's Halloween setting, kids wearing costumes, going around getting candy from defeating enemies. There's a time travel aspect to it. It's a sort of a classic turn-based RPG. I wanted to like it. I tried to like it. I didn't like it. I don't know why. Just didn't appeal to me, I'm afraid.
Well, I've just gone through the first game a couple of weeks ago, and I absolutely loved it. I had so much fun playing it. It was great to play at dinner times. It's not very taxing. The combat's really easy. It was just a nice little relaxing game to play. I even played the DLC to it as well. It was a nice little story as well, thrown in there as well. But I started Costume Quest 2 this weekend on the Xbox, and I don't know, it just seems to have lost some of its charm. I'm not sure if it's the way they've changed the combat system. Because in the first one, you'd just press a button and then it would go off and do it. It was turn-based on the last game.
Like sort of true turn-based. As
this
opposed
one
to...
is again turn-based, but you can take out people with extra damage if you hit the button prompt at the right time, and then you can do a block at the right time. But I don't know. There's something about it that's just I'm not connecting with it like I did on the last game, and I can't put my finger on why.
I think it was that like QuickTime event aspect that really sort of threw me to the point where I was like, oh, do I have to do the QuickTime events now? It's not just press a button, watch an action, press another button, watch an action. Maybe they decided it wasn't action based enough, but it just I don't know. It just wasn't for me. So the PS Vita, which I think is quite a good console, but gets next to no love anymore, certainly, is getting a game called Letter Quest Remastered, which again never heard of. They are it's the little excerpt from it is: the Grim Reapers, Grim and Rose, need your help to defeat a legion of monsters, ghosts, and evil bunnies using the power of words. Spell words to battle monsters and earn gems that can be used to purchase upgrades, books, special items, potions, and much more. Letterquest is a turn-based RPG featuring high-res artwork, clever wordplay, and 2 great soundtracks. Use your linguistic skills to survive. I've got to admit it doesn't sound good, but it looks, I mean, the artwork looks pretty spectacular. It kind of looks like an upgrade of like a mobile or sort of one of these flash games. It was on the Xbox One as well, so I mean, being as it's crossplay with PS4, I don't think there's any reason why anyone shouldn't at least give it a go. But yeah, I think it sounds, you know, fairly clever. Maybe it won't be as good as it sounds, but yeah, I think it sounds and looks good enough to justify playing at least once.
It doesn't really sound very appealing to me, but it does kind of sound it would work well for a game on the go.
But yeah, it definitely sounds like something that you would play when you're out and about. You wouldn't settle down into a 3-hour long session to come and play this game. And the final one is Pumped BMX Plus, which again, never heard of. So thanks for these, Sony. It's basically Trials. It's Trials HD. You're on a BMX, not a dirt bike. It's those ridiculous courses where you have to go around a loop or do something in a certain time. It just I don't care for the Trials games, and I've got a feeling that this is going to be another one of those games that I simply don't care for.
Well, Trials is great. It's just hard as balls.
Yeah, I have heard that the major complaint with these things is that they are fiendishly difficult. So I don't know, if it's free, I might download it and play it. But who knows? So
what we got for Xbox then?
Xbox, we have quite good games for the Xbox actually. Murdered Soul
Great
Suspect, game. Which I really enjoyed. I thought it was great. I think it reviewed quite poorly at the time, and I think people still have sort of a low opinion of it. It came out to, I think, literally no fanfare. It dropped down in price almost straight away.
I think the biggest mistake with it was the price point at the very start. If it was a budget title, then it would have sold more, and I think people would have enjoyed it more.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, for those that don't know, it's about a detective who gets killed right at the very start. There's no spoilers. The box art shows a detective with like about 7 bullet holes in him, so I'm not ruining the game for you. And as the ghost, he goes out to hunt his killer, and this serial killer that's been harassing the town of Salem in America, which was famous for the witch trials and so on and so forth. And basically, it probably is another one of these kind of walking sims. Very little action in it, no real combat. You have to avoid some ghosts and sneak up behind them to kill them with, I don't know, something ridiculous. But it is a game of sort of walking around, finding clues, revealing a story, learning about this town and this killer and these inhabitants, and you get a sassy sidekick who can talk to ghosts for some reason. It's never really fully explained, I don't think. But I thought it was pretty good. So it's well worth playing, being as it's free. And finally, because it's not even finally, because they still do the 360 games. On the Xbox One, we've got Super Dragon Brothers, which I thought sounded a bit naff, and at first I struggled to kind of find anything about it. I could find some comics and an album or two, but this looks pretty good. It says, raid the deepest, darkest dungeons of Rockheim in search of epic loot, hordes of evil undead, and long lost rock stars of yore. So it's one of these online co-op hack and slash action adventure games, where basically you are sort of mowing down hordes of enemies to get to level up and increase your powers and get stronger. And this sounds like the sort of thing that's going to be right up my street, and one that I can imagine playing quite a lot of, because I've always enjoyed sort of games like those from the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance games. I think they were the ones that got me hooked, and since then I've loved my my little action RPG. So this could be really good.
I'll have to check it out. I've never seen it. So
no, I guess that's the thing with these free games. They give you a lot of games that you've never particularly heard of, but then you could find some things that you've really enjoyed. Certainly the one for me. No, I'll do the 360 ones, and I'll go through my best one. So the 360 this week gets Monkey Island. I'm not even going to talk to you about Monkey Island. If you don't know what Monkey Island is, you need to go away and have a long, hard look at your life.
I am rubber, you agree.
Yeah. It's a piratey point and click adventure game from LucasArts. They were the masters of the point and click games back in the sort of Amiga and sort of early PC games, early PC days. They've made sort of several Monkey Island games. They are all amazing games, starring the best named protagonist ever, who is Guybrush Threepwood.
Best name ever.
Yeah, and he sets off to become a pirate, but turns out to be pretty inept at it, much like Rincewind in Discworld. And then the other game is Far Cry Blood Dragon, which is one of my favourite games of all time. It is a real 1980s neon and chrome, just running around killing dinosaurs with lasers on their faces, just absolutely ridiculous. It's like playing a 1980s music video. It's
incredible. You just have to play it.
There's so many good things about it I can't even explain. But yeah, really, really, really good Blood Dragon, and definitely it's more than likely one that I'll play again now that they've made it. I think it is backwards compatible, so I will likely go and play that.
Yeah, all the games that they do now are backwards compatible.
Oh well, I even get to play Monkey Island again. That's great. So yeah, my as I was saying before, these games give you some really good, like indie games or games that you wouldn't particularly have heard of or know much about or have played in the past. And my favourite one is a game called Rogue's Legacy. Did you play Rogue's Legacy? You did? Oh, it's amazing. It's a game that I've actually put off playing paid for games to play. It's you are a knight and you go into a castle and you fight things and gain money, and then you die. Dying is almost as big a part of the game as anything else. And then when you die, you start back at the camp as a relative of the person you were before, and you get to choose from 3 relatives who can be sort of really tiny or huge giants, and they have different classes. So you can have like magic users and like classic warriors and thieves, and you get all these different sort of spells and abilities. So sometimes they're colorblind and can only see in black and white. Sometimes they're farsighted, so can't see things really close to them. Sometimes for some reason they're upside down and it makes you want to puke. And then the money you got in the previous run, you spend to upgrade your character with health or like carrying capacity, so you can get new armor. And basically it's a game where you run in, you die, and then you get better to run in and die again, and it's just that constant cycle of running and dying to get better. And I can't even explain how amazing I think this game is. And the castle that you run into is procedurally generated every time, and it's a really special game. So they did really well making it. It's a game that is cross-play on the PS4 and Vita, so you can transfer your saves to the cloud and carry on wherever you are. And there have been times where I've transferred a game to a Vita and played till sort of the early hours of the morning. And I just find the game so special. So if you've got the game, definitely install it, definitely play it. You probably won't get the same sort of reaction that I got maybe, but I just adore it.
Yeah, you've kind of sold it onto me. I'm gonna have to check this out.
Yeah, you've got to. It's great. And I've just got to stop babbling about this game. So what else have we? Yeah, literally gushing. So what else have we got to take my mind off things?
Our last news topic this week will be about Sony has announced to officially licensed third-party controllers from Razer. They've called them the Raju, I think is how you say that, and the Nacron Revolution Pro Pad. It's are
they both from Razer, or is one Razer and one something else?
I think they're both Razer.
I don't remember. I vaguely remember seeing it, but I didn't look too much into it because I saw the pictures and I thought they are some god awful controllers.
They look really horrible.
Don't they? I've read this a lot. A lot of people
They're
said they
like
look
weirdly
really
shaped Xbox controllers with the PlayStation symbols on it.
One definitely looks like the Xbox One controller, and
that would be the Razer one.
It's that block at the bottom is the block that's on the headphone. The first party, the first headsets that came out for the Xbox One didn't have a 3.5mm jack. It had that weird block on it, like the 360 ones did. And that weird block is basically the same. It's like they had leftover shells for the Xbox One pads and then leftover blocks from the bottom of their headsets and thought, shove them together and stick a PS symbol on them. See if that does it. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. Don't like the way it looks. Don't like the way I imagine it feeling in my hands. Can think of nothing good to say about it, unfortunately, other than it's got some stuff on the bottom and the rubber on the analog sticks probably not as bad as the official Sony ones.
Well, I mean, the other things are just cancelling the audio and turning volume up and down. Nothing really spectacular on there.
No, I don't.
It has trigger stops.
I get the
trigger stop switches and hair trigger mode for ultra fast trigger responses.
I guess that's sort of, you set the triggers not to have to go all the way in to fire, so you can just tap them to. I've never played competitively, so I've never found the length of the trigger press that much of an issue. I guess these are wired.
Yes, they are.
Which will cut out the latency of the Bluetooth connection. But then apparently there's been, I don't know if there's firmware or there will be firmware for the new DualShock 4s, the one with the little light bar in the front.
You can
So,
put in your USB
if you-
and have that exactly the same.
So where's the need for these pads, other than it's got some extra triggers on it?
Just
I
because
guess.
they're slightly differently designed. If you like the Xbox controller more, now you can have it on your PlayStation, I guess.
They're like, you remember when you went to your friend's house and he had an N64 for the first time, and he got the official pad that looked great, and you got the thing
Logic 3
that
one.
looked really the really crap ones that didn't feel right and didn't sit right and always rattled even out of the box. They look like those. They don't look well made. They don't look well thought out. The D-pad on the other one looks awful. Yeah. We will put a link to these pads on so you can see for yourself. They are not nice pads.
So you're going to get one?
But maybe they. No, God no. I did think about getting a Pro pad when the Xbox Pro pad first was announced. I was looking at getting an Xbox One and thought, I'll get an Xbox One when they bundle the Pro pad in. And then the Pro pad was 150 quid on its own. And then I thought, there's no way they're going to bundle those two things together. So I just got the normal ones. And I don't see a need to have a specially weighted, different looking.
I use it most days. It's really nice. The Xbox Pro pad, the grip.
Oh
on it
no,
is
the
so
Pro pad
nice.
is. The Pro pad is by far the most beautiful pad that I think I've seen in a long time. Especially that has detachable paddly bits at the back, doesn't it? So the Pro, I think Microsoft really went after Scuff because they're famous for their silly flappy paddle designs.
My problem with them is I constantly hit them.
Really? Can't you take the paddles
you can,
off?
But if you want to use them, I'm always hitting them by mistake. All the time. It's really annoying because I tend to just kind of caress the back of my controller. So I'm always hitting.
Terrible. No, I like a firm grip. I'm all for a firm grip.
We can all attest to that.
Yeah. So I think that's all the news. We are about 43 minutes in. I think that's all the news that we can stomach for now. And then we've had the other big sort of talking point in the gaming circles, which is Bethesda's big announcement, which unfortunately is not Skyrim 5. It is their announcement that they're going to start giving out review copies for games the day before they're released to general public.
I find it interesting that they've said this. They want everyone to experience it at the same time, but it just doesn't work like that.
It does not hold much water, does it? That bucket definitely has a hole in it. I can see from a point. I mean, from the standpoint of, is it Hello Games with No Man's Sky? It's definitely Hello something. So they created the game. It went gold. I guess the review copies are based on that sort of gold master. And then in the several months before it was finally released, they had basically updated the game so that the review copy and the copy that went gold was not really the same game anymore. And in that kind of respect, I can understand what Bethesda are trying to do, but at the same time their games are not that kind of game.
Well, they mentioned the fact that they did this with Doom and that turned out to be a critical darling and everybody loved it, which is true, but a lot of the games aren't Doom. Like Skyrim, when that originally came out, it was just full of bugs.
Skyrim, I mean, Bethesda games traditionally are pretty big bug fests. I think there was quite a lot with Fallout 4 and Skyrim. I know there's been lots of bugs with Skyrim that they've had to keep fixing. And I don't think not giving out a copy before it's released to general public would help with that very much. I mean, certainly if there was a game-breaking bug about an hour into the game, they could fix it and give out the review copies so reviewers have a better chance of sort of getting a proper review of the game. But then would they?
I just don't think they care about the reviews anymore. They're not bothered. It's easier to get a load of people excited about the game, get the pre-orders coming in, and then you've got the money once it's released. You're not going to get people cancelling in case some reviews come out that highlight some of the bad issues of your game. You've got the money already, you know?
Yeah, I guess a lot of people either see that this the way they're doing it is so that people will pre-order their games blindly, and once they've paid for the game and played it, they'll realise how bad it is. But you know, Bethesda have walked away laughing because now you can't return the game because you've already played it. But I don't think it's that backhanded of them. Maybe there are some sort of like altruistic sort of reasons for doing it. I don't know. I'm very torn by it, I guess.
At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, and there's no reason why they need to give reviewers early access to games. There's nothing. It's just that's how the industry has been for so many years. But there's nothing that they have to give review copies out early. There's no reason for it. It's just something that they did to try, drum up business. Because if you think about it, the industry has changed so much when it comes to the reviews. It used to be in magazines, and they were given out monthly, so they'd have to try and the magazine would have to try and time it for when the game's coming out and give them enough time to actually do it. Now, because it's all online, things can go up instantly. Like, you can get Let's Plays straight away. People will get the game and just be streaming it on Twitch. So you can have access to the what it's like the day it comes out, or even in some cases, people pay extra now to get it a day early or 2 days early or whatever the offer is.
Yeah, there have been a lot of games where I think Battlefield 1 was the last one I know of. If you if you got the special edition, you'd get sort of early access to. For the most part, it's only multiplayer, and reviews don't tend to sort of sit solely on the multiplayer. It seems to be more of the single player experience.
Well, most places now do the single player review and then wait for the multiplayer review once they've had a couple of days in the wild with it, so they can give an accurate review.
Yeah. I mean, most I think the games in the past have. I mean, the reviewers would all play together, so the reviewers would play other reviewers in multiplayer, and I guess that's they can't give out sort of thousands of copies so you instantly get a game at any time of day. But I guess I think that Bethesda will sell games based on their IPs. So people that liked the last Doom will go out and buy the next Doom. People that liked Fallout will go out and buy Fallout 5. People that liked Skyrim will go and get Skyrim 5. It's not going to stop people buying the games. I think it would. I mean, I don't even think it would help now, because certainly pre-order nature. I've seen a shift in pre-order nature now, where people have been disappointed by pre-orders so much because they pre-ordered this game based on what people say it's going to be, and when it doesn't live up to that, when it's not the same game that has been reviewed, then they end up sort of feeling screwed over because they've paid for this game that is nothing like the way they thought it was going to be, or nothing like they expected it was going to be. And there's big sort of campaigns online to tell people to stop pre-ordering. And I mean, it's nothing to do with that for me, but personally I've cancelled all my pre-orders other than 4 games that I am actively looking forward to, because you'll buy a game at sort of 40 quid, 50 quid, and then give it 3 weeks and you guarantee it's gone down a tenner.
Yeah, most likely.
So yeah, I've sort of cut down on my pre-ordering of games. There's a lot of games that have come out recently that I had once pre-ordered. So World of Final Fantasy, I pre-ordered that as soon as I knew it was going to be around. And there's been a couple of others that I thought, no, I'll give it a couple of days. Give it a couple of days before I take the plunge. But then, of course, there's always going to be those games, those special editions that I will pre-order. So I don't think it's going to affect Bethesda very much. Do I think that games journalists are going to say no? We're not going to review Bethesda games now because they won't give it to us early. Of course not. They're Bethesda games. They will sell in the millions. People will want to read about it. If you want those people to come to your site, then you will write about the game. So
it just basically comes down to as it's not really a consumer friendly decision, because if you can get reviews out early before the game comes out, you've got an educated decision then whether you want to buy this game or you want to wait for it a little while, or right, I'm just going to pre-order it now so I get it on day one kind of.
Yeah.
I don't think the only thing that would be interesting to see if other publishers start doing this now that one of the big ones have done it, will more follow suit.
Yeah, it does make you wonder. I think there's still a couple of people that a couple of big companies that probably won't follow Bethesda. From what I've been reading, Nintendo often gives out review copies very early, and then I think there's a couple of other people that will sort of actively go. Maybe they won't sort of follow it. Maybe it won't be every IP. Maybe it's only going to be certain IPs that they do. If there's a new IP from Bethesda, it certainly makes sense for them to get the word around. But yeah, I guess it's one of those things that only time will tell, unfortunately. Yeah.
It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's nice if you can read about a game beforehand.
I still like reviews. I don't, and if I like a game or if I like the look of a game and I think I'm going to enjoy playing it, it won't put me off buying the game. I might not pre-order it. I might not buy it on day of release. I certainly don't buy games sort of used. So, the publishers always get the money from me one way or another. So, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see how that pans out for Bethesda. Maybe they will back down on it, or maybe they start something new, and like you say, a lot of people follow suit. So yeah, I guess that's sort of all my thoughts on it. Otherwise, I think I might just be repeating the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I think we're starting to repeat.
Yeah. So other than that, I mean, what have you been playing this week? Have you still playing Witcher? Have we moved on to other things?
I finally finished The Witcher 3. I'm so happy.
Finally.
So happy. Now I just need to buy the DLC and go through that.
The DLC is pretty big.
Well, it said that it was bigger than The Witcher 2, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know too much about that one, to be honest. I mean, I played Blood and Wine. Really enjoyed Blood and Wine. I've still got Heart of Stone to go.
The Heart and Stone is bigger than The Witcher 2, I think.
Right. I don't know. I think because I started The Witcher 3 again, I kind of burnt out by the time I got to the DLC. But yeah, definitely. I mean, Blood and Wine definitely a great addition to the game, and the new environments are very pretty.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting
even on
hopefully the season pass will go on sale over Black Friday.
Oh god, yeah, the season pass is I mean it's always dropping. So I mean even the complete collection with all the DLC is usually fairly cheap, so it shouldn't be too long, I wouldn't have thought.
It's one of the greatest games ever made. I absolutely loved it from start to finish.
Yeah.
Everything about it is incredible. Even your choices feel like they have major impact. The only thing with Mass Effect, where your choices seem to be very, you either go this way or go that way. Very rarely did it really seem like you had multiple things that could sway things later on in the game. Whereas The Witcher, it feels a lot more grey area. It's like you can make a decision here, and that might change something here, and if you do something there, that will change here, change there, change this. There's so many variables. It's how it feels. Whether or not that's how it actually works, on the mechanic side, I don't know, but it's the way that makes you feel. It's like everyone I've spoken to has had completely different endings.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember the ending I had the first time. But it's I mean, certainly there were some things that I did the first time and I was like, no, I'm going to change that this time. So I purposefully went a different route and did different things to get better endings, or certainly better quests.
Well,
so.
I also finished off the Alien Breed game, and that was very meh. It just ends
I
and goes,
remember you saying.
Episode 2 will be coming soon. I'm like, I don't know if I want to play through that or not. I said earlier, I started Costume Quest, but Costume Quest 2, but that's just, I don't know if I'm going to go back to that. I just wasn't feeling it for some reason. I might try it again, see if I like it, but I don't know. It wasn't as good. It doesn't seem to be as good as the first one. I also started Batman Blackgate, the Vita game. On Steam, and that's it. It uses the same engine as the Arkham games. It's all very graphically stylized the same. The combat system is the same, but when you fight level bosses, it's not quick time, but it essentially is quick time. You can only block them in a certain way when they attack you. So you get a punch, so you have to duck. Then you get a punch, then you have to duck. Then you have an option then to press B, which will whack his cape over them to dizzy them. Then you can punch him, and then they have a different move set where you have to counter. So it's not actually like a proper fight. It's essentially quick time, and I was just like, this isn't as good.
So it's Punch Out Batman edition.
But then the rest of the game is like a 2D scrolling game. It's think Castlevania, where you can go off into all these different sections and explore around. It has that, and then the fight system is like the Arkham games, just fighting random people. But then the bosses is this quick time event. It's just meh. But it seems all right. I've only played about an hour of it so far, but it seems all right.
That's not inspired me to find it. I'll be honest.
Well, if you see, I got it for free because of the whole fuck up with the Arkham Knight game.
Oh
so
God, yeah, Arkham Knight.
On Steam. I
have seen Arkham Knight relatively cheap recently, and won't buy it.
It's actually a really good game. I played through it on the PC. Now they've patched it up and it ran absolutely amazing on my system, so I didn't have any issues waiting 6 months later. But yeah, some people are still saying that they were having issues even on the latest patch.
Shame.
The other thing I have done this week is I started watching Black Mirror.
Oh, people have told me about Black Mirror,
and the third season, which just started on Netflix, and oh my God, it's so good. You need to go watch that. I don't want to say any more because I'll spoil it. You need to just go in blind and just sit down and watch those episodes. They're so good.
Just go and sit down and watch it. They're not. The series aren't even long, are they? Is it like 6 episodes a series or something?
Season 1 is 3, season 2 is 3, and then there was a Christmas special, and then season 3 is 6 episodes, and then season 4 next year will be 6 episodes.
So it sounds like it's definitely a good series.
Everyone has to go watch it. It's really good. What have you been doing this week?
Absolutely nothing. I don't know why I found it really hard to find time to play anything. So I played a bit more Horde on Gears of War. Got bored of that. I think I'm now officially Gears of War out. I have played more Red Dead Redemption, but only about sort of 3 hours or so more.
Okay.
I've just found it really hard to find time to play anything this week. But I did start watching a series called The Devil is a Part-Timer. So, an anime series where the sort of in a universe, there's sort of like a big island, sort of in the middle of this continent, which is the domain of Satan, and then there's sort of 4 islands to the north, east, south, and west that are inhabited mainly by humans. And Satan starts this campaign to go out and capture these islands to conquer the world. And as he is about to finish his campaign, an unknown hero appears and just routs his forces, takes back this one island, and then goes around to all the other islands and just decimates the armies that have taken these places. And they make a big offensive on the castle, and there's this big fight scene, and Satan is on the verge of losing and being killed when he escapes through a portal to an alternate dimension. And the alternate dimension is modern day Tokyo. So they appear in their sort of like demonic clothing as sort of 20-something-year-old people, because they've lost all their magic, so they're no longer giant monsters. Can't speak any Japanese, so there's a lot of the first episode where they're sort of bumbling around and not knowing what's going on. And then it's sort of as time goes on, he sort of gets this job in a fast food restaurant serving customers, where he is the nicest, politest member of staff they have, and he becomes sort of a manager there, and he meets this girl and he gives her his umbrella, and then it turns out the girl he meets is the hero from the alternate dimension that tried to kill him, and now they're all stuck in Japan. And it's just really one of these sort of, it's quite funny, it's quite sweet, it's definitely one of those that I think is gonna grow on me. It's already spectacular, but just seeing how things are going to pan out for Satan and the warrior who he now has to befriend, it's going to be it's going to be one of those real sort of Japanese odd couple sort of series. But I think it's going to be good, and that's pretty much all I've done. Unfortunately, I've just not had the time, I don't think. But soon Final Fantasy 15 will be out, and that's all I will be able to talk about.
Great.
Yeah, so really look forward to Final Fantasy 15. So with that, I think it's about time to wrap up. So Kingy, where can we find you?
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram as Bold Bearded Gamer, and on Twitter I use Ivan_Zar, which is spelled ZARR. And
I am pretty much everywhere as Pondis Plays. So Pondis Plays on Facebook and Twitter. I do have a Twitch account that I never use, so don't try and find me there. If you have any sort of comments or suggestions, or just want to try and sell us penis enlargement pills, you can contact us at ntpcast@gmail.com.
I can't wait to start
that's
seeing
our
emails we get with that now.
Yeah. Likely nothing for a long time, until we win the Nigerian lottery, and then we never have to do this podcast again.
True, yeah. Get all those blood diamonds.
So that's, oh god, yeah. So that's us for now. So hopefully we have sort of exciting things to talk about next week, and we will talk to you. Well, you will listen to us then.
See ya. My arse was aching.